Well, good evening and welcome to From England with Love. As the name suggests, it's a studio where three Englishmen, we gave you the game after all, we'll be talking about the beautiful game. And in focus will be the Euros. The dust has just started to settle after a month of fantastic action for some countries. And we're going to go through and bone our way through what's been happening over the last month. And we, by we, I mean... the three people in the studio. To my right, I have Jeff Mortimer, your affiliation.
Birmingham City, for my sins. Yeah, it's a long, hard struggle, but...
Tell me all about it, man. I'm a Queen's Park Rangers fan. I know all about it. And opposite me, we have Sean Verity, another man with a team in the Championship, I do believe.
Super Leeds.
Super Leeds.
At least
United.
they were once.
Exactly. Oh, they still are, mate. Always be in my heart, even though I'm not a Yorkshireman. Well, as I say, we're going to be talking about the Euros. And what a Euros we've had. We'll be using Speakerbox to broadcast, so feel free. It's all about interacting, so chat. We're going to have a few polls, or a poll anyway, and some questions. So please get involved as much as you can. And we'll start off by setting a poll now. Pretty simple poll, pretty straightforward. We've seen some fantastic performances by a number of individuals, perhaps none more so than the two guys we're going to talk about now. Gareth Bale and Ronaldo, both playing for Real Madrid. Wish they were playing for QPR, but they're not. And the question is this simple. Which player would you prefer to have in your team? Which player would you prefer to have in your team, Ronaldo or Gareth Bale? So that's the poll. So get involved, as I say. Well, it was a huge disappointment. As an England fan, you can't get away from the fact that we've done it again. It's another fiasco for Roy and his men. Doesn't matter who we have in charge. We seem to fall flat on our face.
I want to just jump in quickly, Simon.
Okay.
Your better half, your other half.
Okay.
Sent us this little video.
Oh, Christ.
Now, do you want to explain to us, Simon, what's going on here?
Okay. Well, there you have every England shirt and T-shirt and I think even a cap that I had. I was so disappointed after the Iceland result that I decided that my love affair with the Three Lions is officially over. So this is by way of a little ritual. I was told a long time ago by the man to my right here that I shouldn't put my faith in England. And Jeff, I can say now after 15 years, mate, actually after 50, you're right.
That was actually after the Russia goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it could have been. It should have been.
Might as well have been.
There was a few decent shirts in there, actually. But
which ones do you have? Were they worth anything?
No, I don't think. I had an old blue. I don't think many people remember this one, but we had a blue third kit going into the World Cup in 1990. I remember Dennis Wise, believe it or not, scoring for England in one of those, which says everything really. And then I think it was the last one I bought was the last Umbro shirt.
And they all still fit perfectly.
Well, yeah, now they do. Yeah. I can wear them on my head like that. No, so that was honestly. I mean, the performance from England. I've never been so close to projectile vomiting as I was during the Iceland game, and I just didn't know what to do. So that was the end of my love affair with England. I'm sad to say, but it's over, lads.
I've got a comment from someone at home here.
Right.
Machiavelli has asked, why didn't Roy make any changes? The team struggled the entire second half versus Iceland.
Well, that's a very good question.
There's a particular player that should have come on so much earlier because the difference he made when he did come on was so evident.
I know what you're going to say.
Rashford. Absolutely.
Rashford. Yeah,
he made things happen. He did more in those few minutes alone than the rest of them. And one player that should have been nowhere near that team, in my opinion, is Rooney. He's living off past glories. And someone told me recently to watch some old YouTube clips. So back in whenever it was it 2006 when we lost to Portugal? I don't know. I might have that wrong.
Yeah, 2000 when we lost to
Portugal. We never gave away the penalty in the end.
Yeah. And he was a great player that tournament. He was so good at finishing. He was quick. He was nippy.
Well, he was young. You just said it. He was Rashford then.
Yeah.
But Hodgson was on a hiding to nothing. If he hadn't have played Rooney and it had gone tits up, I mean, how bad would it have been for him? He was never going to. No England manager's ever going to have the balls to do it.
I mean,
That's why you should give it to Klinsmann. Klinsmann will stay out.
I fancy Klinsmann.
I do.
I really do.
Yeah.
A German, though, could we live with that?
We
Having a
could
German?
dive-
we've had a Swede, we've had an
into
Italian.
a new era, can't we?
Dive into a new. I like it. Good. Very good. But thankfully, we weren't the only disappointments. There were quite a few, actually. I mean, one that sticks out is, of course, Sweden. You know, there were high expectations. Zlatan Ibrahimovic had come out and he said he was going to show the world that, you know, he still got something left before his impending move. We didn't know where it was then, but he seemed to fall flat on his face, as did Sweden. What did you make of that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw a lot of the games leading up to this one, and yeah, they were only friendlies, but Sweden just didn't. They had no rhythm. They're everything. Portugal were everything that Sweden aren't. They, similar kind of setup, similar size of population. Everyone went on about Iceland, a tiny little nation, but you look at the two countries, and there's a lot of similarities, but it is a one-man team. It really is, and
has been for quite some time.
Yeah.
Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to talk to someone who should know a little bit more than we do, a Swede, Pelle. Why do you think that it ended in disappointment for Sweden this time around?
For the most of us, Zlatan was a disappointment in the Euros, and I think a big reason for that is the fact that he depends more and more on the team that surrounds him, more than ever in his career, in fact. And obviously, Sweden wasn't a good squad in the Euros. For a couple of seasons ago, Zlatan could lift the team by his individual magic, but that ability isn't the same nowadays. He's 34 and he has his best time behind him.
Well, we know now, we didn't know before the tournament, but we know now that his next club address is going to be Manchester United, Pelle. How do you think he'll get on there at Old Trafford?
Will Zlatan make it in the Premier League? Well, I think it's up to the team. If Mourinho can make Man U to a winning club again, then Zlatan has a great chance to shine. If not, I think he's going down with the club. He's still a fantastic player. He can do fantastic things. But he do need a successful team around him. On the other hand, in the end of the day, despite all this wisdom, we shall always remember Zlatan is Zlatan.
I thought he was going to say it then. I thought he was going to say, we'll always remember
that
goal against England.
Everyone brings it up.
That's unbelievable. I actually missed that by a few seconds. I was at the game.
Oh, yeah, we were as well.
And I left about 5 seconds before that. I mean, the thing is, we were going to get spanked anyway. I missed that goal, that overhead kick from, the car park.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't know if you were watching Sweden's game. Did you see when Shaqiri scored that goal? Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I was watching it on Swedish TV, and I knew, even before the commentator said it would be like, oh, yeah, it was good, but, it wasn't quite as good as last time.
Yeah, but there was a goalkeeper on the line for that one. The goalkeeper wasn't out selling programmes. No. He was actually on the line. But we won't. Let's not get into that anyway.
Just before Pelle said Zlatan is Zlatan, Pete said exactly the same thing, and Zlatan is Zlatan. I mean, there is something about him.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? There's nothing more he enjoys than kind of proving us wrong.
No. I think
turning all the doubters over.
And I actually think that he'll score loads of goals against the newly promoted teams in Sunderland. But, I mean, like the guy said earlier on, yeah, he's always lifted the Sweden team, but when it really matters, he hasn't. He hasn't done it in the Champions League. He's hardly ever done it for Sweden. Yeah, you can talk about that goal in a friendly against England, whatever. It's nothing to do with England, but he just disappears in the really big games. Yeah. That's why he's never got anywhere near a Champions League medal.
So-called flat-track bully.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll see.
Great physique.
Time will tell. Yeah, but the thing is, he is one of a kind. I don't think we'll ever see that type of player ever again. Yeah. That size of player, the physical specimen with so much skill. So
and so entertaining as well,
and
off the pitch.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. You've got to love him for
his tongue-in-cheek
him and
remarks.
Mourinho. I mean, United is good. I would love to be a United fan right now, to be honest. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't, but I can hear. I see what you're saying. I can't ever admit to that.
Well, we've talked then about the underachievers, but there are also quite a few overachievers at this tournament. we have to talk. I'd rather not talk about them, to be honest, but we have to talk about them. Iceland. What a fantastic fairy story that was.
It's a totally amazing story. You know, we went over and we interviewed Lars Lagerbäck at the very first qualification game against Turkey, and he said, "You've got to take us seriously. We are much better than people are giving us credit for." And everyone was. You could see that there was a real feeling that there was something happening even then. And I mean, everyone talks about, yeah, tiny little nation, what a big surprise. But any team that's knocked out Holland and done so well in that group, Czechs, Turkey. Why was it such a big surprise?
Well, the surprise for me, the thing is, be honest now, how many of those players had you ever heard of? I'd heard of Sigurdsson.
Well, they still had Ida. They still had Ida Gudjonsson.
Yeah.
They must have gone on 40 now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So,
I mean, the fact that he's still making it into the side.
those two. So that alone told me, well, you know, forget about them. And what a huge mistake to make. You know, the thing is, even Albania had more players that I've heard of, thanks to the Swiss League and Barcelona and teams like that.
Yeah.
I mean, Iceland, it is, for me, it was just Sigurdsson, so they'll be on the first plane home. And they left after us. After us.
Yeah. And they deserve to.
Yeah,
as
definitely,
well.
without a doubt.
They really fought, and that's what counts, you know. Absolutely.
And how many times after that game did you get a message, ho ho, England out of Europe, twice in 1 week? Yeah, that's funny.
Brexit.
Didn't get old, did it? Didn't get old.
Incredible. But they weren't the only team to overachieve. I mean, that's one of the good things about being British. We can, you know, support 4 different teams if we want to. And Wales, at least, did us proud. Wales had a fantastic tournament. And luckily enough, we have cornered a Welshman, John, who's going to join us now from Geneva. What did you make of that fantastic effort by Wales, mate?
Well, it's been unbelievable, you know. Childhood dream for many a Welshman, including myself. It's been a truly unforgettable time. We've taken in 6 games. Coming into the tournament wasn't really with the greatest of expectations, more of hope than anything else. But the boys, I mean, you've seen it on the pitch, the fans in the stands, the people in the cities, the people back home, everyone's just really come together for this team. You know, there's a great team spirit. They live and breathe the Together Stronger slogan that the FAW have come out with for this qualifying campaign. And it's been a long journey, you know. It's been way back in September 2014, you know, we're struggling away winning Andorra, and to get to this point, we were off the back of a unfortunate semi-final defeat to Portugal. It's been just unforgettable, and to share it with people I grew up with, family, friends, you know, everyone's in this together. It's just been fantastic.
Well, of course, with expectation comes the added burden of having to produce on the big stage. They've not had to deal with that prior to France, John. How do you think Wales are going to deal with the expectation, or what expectations do you have?
Expectation's a funny thing as a Wales fan. Not always had the most successful time in international football. Not since I've been supporting them in the early 90s anyway. But this group of players, you know, it goes back a long way through John Toshak, really ripping up a lot of the old guard, the guys like Robbie Savage, and replacing them with a lot of the young players that we see now. And they really nurtured through the Gary Speed years, and Chris Coleman's reaping the benefits of it. I think there's a renewed hope for Welsh football. I think that guys like Aaron Ramsey, obviously we missed him so much in the semi-finals, Gareth Bale, they are the guys that you can really get behind as a team. And expectation-wise, I think obviously the World Cup qualifiers being slightly tougher to get into with only the first place going through. The guys, you know, it's a small tight-knit group, but if they can stay together, stay fit, the team spirit's there, the tactics are there, the way of playing, they know each other's game inside out, and obviously, I mean, something fantastic like this, the whole nation's behind them. So I think they've got a really good chance of qualifying, and it's a very competitive group that they're in. So there's no real standout team, and I think absolutely, I think you'll see them in Russia in 2018.
Well, let's hope so. Enjoy the moment, John. Thoroughly deserved. I tuned in to watch the homecoming when they went through the open top bus. It was absolutely amazing, and that whole Together Stronger thing seems to have permeated the whole of the nation. So do you think they can build upon what
I
they've
think
achieved
so.
in France?
I think he made a really good point that their qualifying group is not actually so hard compared with the likes of Sweden that we mentioned, and they've got a good base. They've got some good young players, but it's that everyone's talking about the team. It was the same with Portugal and stuff, and. Yeah, you've got Manic Street Preachers writing songs for them as well. What can go wrong?
We had New Order. We had New Order in 1990.
Yeah,
Didn't help us.
So someone's mentioned via speaker box Wales confidence but not arrogance, and I think that's clear. Well, certainly from my part, I think that's really clear. Had England been the team that got to the semi-final and then got knocked out, going forward into qualifying for 2018 and then going potentially into the World Championship in Russia. They might have just thought too much of themselves. Wales, on the other hand,
Frankenstein's monster.
Absolutely. And Wales, on the other hand, they're going to build on this, but they're not going to think too much of themselves. They're still going to go into that tournament, absolutely, and give it their all, which is really important.
And they all did it together. I think that it's such a strong message that we've come this far. This isn't just ending here and now.
But that's why it's so important. This next appointment is so important then to try and get our feet back on the ground. I mean, we can't sort of go after the last few performances. I mean, I thought it was bad enough in Rio, but this, where do you go from here? Anyway, enough. We can't talk about England. Forget England. There was a team that actually won the Euros, and that was Portugal. And I, for one, am really happy that Portugal finally won something at international level or at national level. They produced some fantastic footballers down the years: Eusebio, Figo, Rui Costa, to name but a few. So it was actually nice to see them lift the trophy. Do you agree, chaps?
I feel a bit guilty for starting on a negative, but you said something to me earlier on, Simon. You said that you reminded me that Portugal didn't win a game in the group stages because of this new structure with regards to the tournament. And that structure has been a bit funny. And you told me that when I said to you, actually, I like the new structure because it gave Iceland an opportunity to do well. But the fact that they've managed to... Do they draw every game in the group stage?
Yeah.
And then they've got the opportunity to go on and win it. I mean, that didn't quite weigh up.
Yeah, I agree. And also, you feel sorry for the Welsh because that new structure also meant they've got more games, but they didn't change the rules about yellow cards and stuff like that. So maybe Wales with Aaron Ramsey and Ben Davies... They might have even been.
Just to put things into perspective, England never lost a game in 1982 in the World Cup 1982 and still went home.
Yeah,
Scotland did it once as well, didn't they?
Didn't lose a game in 1982 and got sent home.
That's a really good point.
But I'm not bitter.
No. Surprised you remember that one.
Exactly. Yeah. I was your age then, I think. Well, let's have a look then. Have we got anything back on the poll?
The poll at the minute is a dead heat. It's 50-50.
Oh, right, okay. Well,
which way would you have voted?
I would have... I just think that Ronaldo can give you just the unexpected. And he's actually proved that he's much more of a team player than maybe we've given credit for. So I think... even though Gareth Bale very nearly signed for Birmingham one day, I'm not going to hold it against him. I would have gone for Bale.
That's true, by the way.
For Ronaldo.
Telling the truth.
Yeah. I love that comment because Jeff's not only living in the past, but he's living in dreamland. He's living on something that never actually happened, which is great.
He's waiting for the kickback. He wants money. He wants money.
I think Bale he could be the best team player in the world. He could do everyone's shoelaces up at the start of the game, but Ronaldo is so good that you just always have to take Ronaldo. He's just on another planet. And I sound silly saying it, but when he takes his top off, you know how hard he works. You know how hard he works anyway, but when he's got his top off, you think, bloody hell, he takes this malarkey seriously, you know?
There's very few players that can match him on that front. But Frank Lampard would struggle, I think, with the old six-pack. Well, moving forward, you may remember Copperbet league table. You were asked to predict every single game of the Euros. Don't know how you'd manage to do that, to be honest. I struggled to predict England's games, but you managed to do it. And we also produced a winner. Fantastic stuff. A young man by the name of Tegger, or Philip, is the winner of the O'Leary's League, joining us via speaker box now. Philip, how did you manage to do this? This is incredible. If we look at this now, Group C and D, every single result. How did you do this, mate? You've got to explain.
it's difficult, but I think my secret is that I'm very interested in football. I read a lot of magazines and watch a lot of games. So yeah, you can call me a football nerd if you want.
Football nerd. Well, I'd like a football nerd.
Did he predict the Croatian fans screwing that game up?
Probably.
For them while they
Wouldn't
were doing
surprise me.
that?
Wouldn't surprise me.
What sort of money would he have won off that? If you put £1 on that, that's not.
Yeah, and that was an accumulation. That's serious money.
That's serious, yeah.
Well, I think he could have afforded to go to a full season of matches if he'd have put some money on that. Well, moving on. The knockout predictions came up next. You backed Portugal to win it all the way. Did you get worried there when Ronaldo got the knock early on?
Of course, I was worried. Cristiano Ronaldo for me is the best player in the world. So I know it's going to be difficult, but you know, you win like a team and you lose like a team, and Portugal won like a team, and yeah.
Well, finally, of course, your prize, courtesy of O'Leary's, is a trip to any European football match. Which one have you gone for, mate, and why?
I have not decided yet which game I want to go to, but I want to go to a trip to Manchester and see Manchester United at Old Trafford because I'm a really huge Manchester United fan.
Well, we thank O'Leary's once again for providing you with the opportunity to fulfil a dream at the Theatre of Dreams, Manchester United. I've been there once, and there was a dream for me. Queen's Park Rangers beating Manchester United.
Oh, yeah, Dennis Bailey,
Yeah?
ex-Birmingham player. I do, yeah.
4-1 at Old Trafford the day after Alex Ferguson's birthday.
I've got one.
Go on.
January 3rd. You remember the date? We beat the team that we hate. We knocked the scum out the FA Cup with Super Leeds.
See, January must be something special about
I was
January.
there. January 3rd. It was a great day. Jermaine Beckford.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah. Beckford.
Stretford End.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
Whatever happened to him?
That's great.
Man?
That's the thing, you know, as much as I'm disappointed because it went so badly for England, the great thing about football is you don't have to wait very long. There's a domestic season just around the corner, and then the next championships, I'm not going to support England, of course, but the next championships are only 2 years down the road, the World Cup. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We thank Speakerbox for giving us the opportunity, and we will, of course, be back. There's always a football match just around the corner. Thanks very much, and see you next time.